Hi, I'm Grace Kadanik, and I'm here with Samuel Spear Jr. He is the photographer behind this series that is showing at Arts Warehouse right now called Reflections, and he's going to walk us through this exhibition and tell a little bit more about it. So Sam, how did this series come together?
Well, I've been known as a traveler rather than a photographer. I've been traveling for a lot of years, and photography was just second. It just came along with the process. And in my travels, I started noticing in the pictures that certain images stood out to me. It's like, so over a period of time, I started this series I called Reflections. And some of these images go back almost 5-10 years. But they have to, like I said, it started with just my travels. I started adding to it, building up, and I've been to a lot of places. And it's always exciting to, I'm a street shooter, and it's always exciting to take people as they are. This is COVID time, but we've got safety, and I'm gonna take my mask off so I can talk, because otherwise it's gonna drip down, and I'm gonna be conscious about it.
That's good.
Okay, good? All right, now, so like I said, it's been a while. Some of these images are locally, not locally, but in the States, and others are, you'll see, are in Europe and other places. Okay, as we start, there's several here I'd like to show you and talk about in detail. This first one was taken in LA a few years ago. I was walking in the street and it was open to a ladies' beauty shop. And if you look at the image, you'll see the reflection of the glass in several places. And this is why it stood out to me. You have the actual person standing outside with the striped shirt. You see her reflected in the doorway here. You see the inside chandeliers reflected in the street over there. You see the inside and outside. Sometimes you can't tell who's in and who's out. And that's what I really was trying to accomplish with this, the complexity of the image because of the distortion of the glass. And as we move further, it's the same thing here. This was really just a shop window front. But as you look at it, it reflects the street. As I stood there facing and taking the picture, it reflects the street behind me. You have an apartment building showing, you have cars in the street. You actually, if you look closely, you actually can see me there in the reflection of the turtle. And because of these objects in the window, it became a surreal image. It just, for me, I just love this image. And of course, what you see in there is just, I think you have to take time to look at it and see what you can discover as you go through it and look closely. One more here, since we're just starting. This was taken in New Orleans about several years ago. We were traveling there. And actually, I was in one of the streetcars. I saw this gentleman in New Orleans. There's music everywhere. And this gentleman was playing, but because of the trolley glass, it created distortions, as you see with the cars. Some are going and some are coming, they're all melded together. And I find that was just so intriguing. We're going to move further along. This was in Marseille, and it's actually a glass floor. We're on the second level and looking down through a glass floor, and of course you get the feedback from the floor itself and the glass itself. I'm going to move quickly along here just to point these out for you. This was Cuba, and I'm inside of apothecary. That's how you say it, apothecary shop. And as you look closer here, you see the glass causing the double images here, but also the apothecary glasses up top, which are actually inside, and they're reflected in the glass here. And so it looks like, and over here you see the apothecary guard. This is inside the building and it's reflected on the glass. This I took last year. We were picnicking on the Hudson, and there was a factory building there, and the sun sets behind us, and each pane of the glass is slightly different in the angle, so it gives a different picture in each one. And also, as you see, it's a factory, so you have clothing hanging inside. So it adds, again, complexity to the image. This was Memphis. This is Barcelona. And if you look closely here, I shot through the glass, but you see cobblestones of the street and the bicycle that are behind me. As a travel slash street photographer, and to me, travel photography is just street photography in another country. You know, as you take what you see in front of you, very honestly. You cannot always set it up, and which the image you see and what you see is only there for that second. The camera is only grabbing what's in front of you for that second, and then it's gone. And if, like in street photography, you want to not let people know that you're taking their picture, because it changes them. So as a photographer and a street photographer, that type of photographer, I know that it's either catchers catch can. You know, it is what it is. Well, you know, in my travel, I very rarely take buildings, landscapes, sunsets and sunrises. I do some of that, but I really just like people, and I like to show them being people in their own world, so to say. For this series, like I said, I've been working on it for quite some time. So in my travels and comings and goings, wherever I am, if I see this situation with the glass and the mirrors or the windows, I will take that picture. Not knowing if I can use it or not, but I will. It's just something in the back of my mind. If I see that, I'm going to snap it. When I go to places, foreign countries, especially just Africa, Europe, China, whatever, we ride public transportation. I ride the subways. You'll see a lot of these pictures are in subways, on the buses. You know, we don't, you know, and it's always, and so you're always almost encased in a lot of times in glass. So you naturally, when I shoot, it's already there. It's not like walking on the street. If I'm riding a bus, riding a train, that's what I see. For example, this is the subway in Marseille. And I'm looking out the window, there's a art on the wall of the subway. But however, because I'm inside, it caught a reflection of the interior of the subway as well. So that combination, like I say, you're already encased in glass. As we go through here, a couple more I'd like to show you. And of course, this is obviously a subway. But again, this is Marseille. People think of subways, you think normally of New York City and others, but the other subways are a big public transportation in many other places as well. This particular one was taken in California. It shows at the Edinburgh Photography Museum. And it's actually me superimposed on my son, who's inside of the gallery, inside the door. So if you look closely, you can see my pants there, but you can see his face. And I thought it was just a very interesting reflection. And finally down here, you'll see this particular one is in Cuba. It's the outside of a bus. But because the bus had glass outside and paint, you see reflections of people that are standing behind me on the street as well. And again, if you look closely, you can actually see me over here, and then you see the distortion of the people with the bus glass. And finally, here we have, I think, one of my favorites, an interesting picture of a cafe taken from, I was outside in Paris. You see people on the street behind me. You see trees that cannot be in that cafe. You see someone sitting inside, and of course you see the screens. And if you look closely, you just see trees that are superimposed on the interior. This is actually the street sidewalk that's outside. So you look closely, you can pick up different elements, and that's really the purpose of this, was to show you photography that is a little more artsy, complicated, that gives you a different perspective rather than just a snap picture, to know that what you can do without distortion. And I must say that there's no element that I added here in Photoshop or anything else. These photos were taken as is. And what was in that picture is what was there. And I think that's important to see that you can take a picture, a photo, and it'd be interesting, more interesting in just that subject. It's really the setting and how light interacts, and that's part of what photography is. This is a ceiling in Barcelona. of a crafts fair, and you see the reflection of the ceiling of the people walking down. And finally, I'd like to say thank you to the Arts Warehouse, Grace. You've helped me along in this as an amateur photographer. I really appreciate the advice and help and the whole idea of the CRA supporting the arts in Delray Beach. It just makes us such a family and such a wonderful place to live.